Andre Drummond has decided to opt into his contract, and frankly, I'm not surprised. But will this move actually help us? Does him coming back and opting in actually bring continuity and things of that nature that AK is wanting for? Or is this really a Billy Donovan issue now because he hasn't seemed to use him right? We'll talk about that and more right after this. Now listen, if you haven't been living under your rock, it's your boy P. Keep it the Windy City Breeze coming to you with the news, man. Listen, let's just jump right into it. Andre Drummond has it to me as a starter in this NBA. I understand why he's in the position he's in. I understand how he got there because in so many ways from the big man position, the league has kind of moved away from that style of big man. However, this postseason really should show you that big men like Andre Drummond and what he brings to the table matter. And for some odd reason, that hasn't translated well in the Chicago Bulls lineup and in our favor. Mainly because, one, how he's utilized by Billy Donovan, and two, just because we have Nikola Vucevic in front of him. And that's kind of a hard sell. Like, if you had to choose between the two, well, it kind of depends on what you're going for, but most people would choose Vooch, and rightfully so. He's the top 10 offensively and defensively big man in this game. However, that doesn't mean that Andre Drummond can't be there. Just because he can't score as much as Vooch or the same way as Vooch doesn't mean that he can't be as impactful. Now, I am somebody who remembers Andre Drummond from years past. I think most people look at Andre Drummond and look at how he got destroyed by Embiid. Now, mind you, that's a huge L on his part. He got to hold that. But at the end of the day, he still was a really good big man in this league. Now, comparing him to Embiid is like comparing Vooch to Embiid. Like, it's still just like, yeah, the skills are there, and maybe Vooch has held his own a little better than Andre Drummond, but it's still a wide margin. Embiid is the MVP for a reason. He's the best big man in the league. You can argue that with Jokic. But, I mean, like, come on, man. There's a complete gap right there. I think the gap between Vooch and Drummond is smaller than the gap between Vooch and Embiid and vice versa, right? So, like, you get where I'm going with it. Ultimately, I expected this contract to happen. I expected Andre Drummond to opt in. Why wouldn't he? I don't think the market for him was a huge market. However, you know, that with the latest developments around the league, he may have been able to go and get more money. He may have, but that doesn't necessarily mean he would have got more playing time. So ultimately, in a nutshell, he resigns, great. I mean, he opts in, great. You know, that's cool. And so it seems like for the most part, we're running the same roster back. All of this kind of boils down to the one thing that we've been saying: how does Billy Donovan actually utilize this team? None of this actually, like him opting in, Vooch resigning, all that stuff, that's great and stuff like that, but people need to really understand and really put onus on the fact that, hey, you can have the talent, doesn't mean you can manage them well. The NBA, NFL, whatever professional sport, and even some professions, you know, secular professions, you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't manage them correctly, it does not matter. And so to me, this all boils down to we have talent at the center in power forward position. Because you could put Vooch at the 4. I don't know why people don't want to do that, but you could. You could run the double line. I don't know why we don't see that, but you could, but we don't. You know, the people make it seem as if like half-court basketball is just obsolete. Did you watch the playoffs lately? Half-court basketball is definitely alive and well. Like, be for real. Like, just say you don't know basketball. Shut up. At this point, like, Billy Donovan has to do something different because these players can't coexist. Andre Drummond is not going to be the person shooting threes, but you know who shoots a lot of threes between the two? Vooch. You know what that means? Vooch can spread the floor. You know what that means? He could also play a high-low post. He can do a lot of things with those two bigs, but we don't do it. I don't know why we don't do it. I don't know. Like the few times we saw it, it was like we didn't get enough of it to even see it really work. Did they ever practice it? Do they practice it? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't want to speculate on that. I'm not the type of person who want to sit there and clown someone for something I simply just don't know. And I don't know. I don't know what Billy has going on. But I will say this. To me, with all of this talent coming back, I am starting to feel like it's not the talent, it's how it's managed. It's not, when it comes to Kobe White, I don't see what you all see. So, I don't see what you all see with that. I see that he has a better handle than he had before, but I don't get it. But like, anyway, like outside of that, like I really don't get why we're not putting the emphasis on what the heck Billy Donovan does with this talent, because that's really where we are. We have the team, we have the people. We really do. And I say that because I'm seeing Eric Spoelstra get the most out of less. I'm seeing him empower more. And I know there's some people who would disagree with that, to say that the Chicago Bulls wouldn't be where the Miami Heat are and stuff like that. And I challenge you by saying you won't know that because we don't have the same culture in coach. If we had the same coach or a coach of that same caliber, then we can sit there and do that. But I'll be honest with you, talent-wise, we have it. We don't have the culture in the coach. We don't have the standard. We don't have that type of player there. I saw Eric Spoelstra just almost come to blows with Jimmy Butler, almost on the court. I have never seen Billy Donovan be that passionate about the game. Now, some people will sit there and say, well, that's not what you need to be as coach. Well, guess what? Mike Malone's called out his players almost every game in which they drop the ball. He's gotten into them hard. I've seen Spoke get into their coaches hard. Joe Mazzulla, even though they pretty much, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest upsets in NBA history. Was getting to his team hard. Like, stop trying to be buddy. That's not no. If you want to do something that is very hard to do, that most people don't get a chance to do, that even in the NBA, there's Hall of Famers that have never been to the finals, have never been NBA champions. To get there, you got to ruffle some feathers. And guess what? Chewing gum on the sideline, acting like everything's going to be cool. We're going to look at the film. That don't work. That don't work the whole way. Guess what? Every single coach that's won, I've seen them actually rip into their play. I've seen them actually show passion for it. I've seen them actually get under their players' skin, and guess what? To get the most out of them. I don't think that's the culture we have here. And so on top of the fact that they're not being utilized the right way, the identity of this team being that does start from your coach. It's not just the players. Your coach does empower that. Your coach does start that. And so that is where a lot of this comes. I love the fact that Andre Drummond is back on the roster. I don't love the fact that we're going to have to deal with him being utilized in a way that I don't think that fits him. And also, like, I really want to understand what AK's plan is, because where's Marco? Like, Andre opted in and Vooch re-signing, but you've already extended Marco, or you paid Marco. Marco is actually one of the highest paid people in the G League, by the way. Like, what are we doing with? Where is this 6'10" like dude who can shoot and all that? So where is this guy? Where is he going to fit in that rotation? What is happening here? Like, I want to understand that better, but I also want to know your thoughts, man. Listen, I'm happy for the fact that Andre Drummond is re-signed. I know I've went on a little tangent. There's really not much to talk about outside of the fact that, hey, he's re-signed, but he hasn't been utilized well. If you all have something else that you want to bring to the table, put it in the comments. Doesn't matter to me whether it's love or hate. I'll be in there with you. Until next time, though, man. Whatever. Peace.